the podcast for neurodivergent weirdos and queers who forget about struggling to adult. They're struggling to human.
At least that's what everyone's telling us.
You're right.
Per usual. But seriously, I'm Angela. People call me Mama Pistachio, bringing sense to the conversation. I help individuals and organizations cultivate skills, spaces, and confidence to advocate for themselves and each other.
And I'm Molly, giving a big fork you to cookie cutter solutions. I help busy as fuck neurodivergent entrepreneurs make shit happen by bringing stability to their businesses while helping them do what makes sense to their brain.
Enough with the chit chat. Let's get down to business. What's the frickin' point?
With our powers combined, we navigate life through the drudgery, dreams, and all that shit in between. Plus, we were already having these conversations anyway, so why not record them, right?
Alrighty then. Get ready to call bullshit on what everyone's saying you should be doing as we navigate the spectrum between what your heart wants and the shit keeping you from it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Drudgery, Dreams, and in between. Yes. So it's we just finished up spooky season. Oh God, 2 weeks ago. And
I've never finished with spooky
season. I was about to say, well, I'm going to go out on the limb and say most neurodivergent folks live spooky season year round. But we're heading into like family holiday time, whether it's chosen family or biological family or whatever, what have you. And so when we were thinking about topics for this next conversation, I was like, we need to talk about holidays because talk about transitions. The holidays bring a lot of transitions. We have back-to-back big holidays in the U.S. Not to mention, if you are religious, there's several different religious affiliations. There's several that are kind of overlapping, and it's just a lot. Mm-hmm. Especially if you are the person that is trying to do all the things, or you are new to the neurodivergent kind of concept, either because you had a kiddo that was diagnosed, or because you yourself have been recently diagnosed, or just TikTok has opened your mind to the possibilities that this is you too. However you've found yourself looking into this neurodivergent bubble.
Or the queer bubble, right?
Like, or the queer bubble,
the queer space and holidays can be so, it can be beautiful depending on the family, chosen or otherwise, that you have, or it can be really difficult and painful. And often it's a combination of the two.
I'm glad you said something, because in my head, those two are so overlapping for me that I'm just like, yeah, when I say that, obviously I mean the queer family too.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. Okay. So we have a lot to cover today, and I'm hoping we get through a majority of it. But I want to start on a fiery topic.
Go for it.
I'm going to talk about gift giving.
Oh, of course, you're going to go right to the thing that bothers me the most about any time of year.
I just really want to cover this before I go on a food rant later on. So,
okay.
These are the two that I feel are kind of the most important, are the topic of food and the topic of gift giving. And so Angela is very passionate about her stance on gift giving, and I'm just going to let her step on the soapbox. So,
okay. So the thing about gift giving is so often it is not consensual. That's my issue with gift giving. And there's this whole narrative out there that says, but my love language is giving gifts. Okay, so that makes you feel good. So I'm accepting a gift for you. So let's be really clear here who this is for. Because it's not for me. Because I don't want gifts. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want any more shit to add to my house. And I specifically don't want something that I didn't specifically want. Right? Like it blows my mind. that people seem to not be able to wrap their head around this whole idea of gift giving. And because it is such a transactional practice, people give gifts and often expect gifts in return.
Yes. I mean, for me, like, that's something that I like. When you become one of my friends, it's like, I appreciate you, but don't expect gifts from me, because A, I'll never remember to buy them, and B, I just suck at that. That is not a thing that I will be doing for you, because I suck at that. And until you had brought this up a couple years ago, I had never thought about it. I was like, but this is just what you do on the holidays, like, whatevs. And like, I've always, like, my partner and I are not people who give gifts on like anniversaries, let alone celebrate anniversaries. We're like, we've been married for like years, decades, not sure. So we never like do that in those moments. And we are fortunate to just, like, if we need something, we buy it. So when it comes to somebody saying, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, just buy something. Like, just get something you think of as me. But now that you are saying this, my brain is saying, how the fuck are they going to know what you want? A, you haven't told them. B, you want them to assume that they know what you want. And you probably have not been your authentic self. So whatever they get you is going to make you frustrated, because then you're going to realize that they don't know you. Right.
I don't know. I mean, it's the thing. This is the big thing with it is, okay, I'm just going to put this in practical terms and use myself as an example. If I give a gift to somebody, I make it very clear to them, I saw this, it made me think of you, and I'm giving it to you. The second that I give it to you, I want you to understand you can throw it away. You don't even have to accept it. And I still am going to be completely satisfied and not judge you in any way, shape, or form, because I was giving that to you for myself because it made me feel good. Right? Yes. That's how gift giving should be. And I'm not saying it that way because that's how I do it. I'm saying because that's consensual.
Right. You're giving them permission that if they don't like it, they can get rid of it, or that they don't even have to take it.
Exactly. Like, let's not spend time, effort, and energy on putting it in the closet, and then when I come over to visit, taking it out and putting it somewhere in a prominent position to make sure that I see this thing that you got me so that my feelings aren't hurt. No. First of all, I'm probably going to forget, because once it was all done and over with, that's done, and I can use brain space for other things. I wish that were the way, and I know I can't expect everybody to work the way that I do and to think the way that I do. However, I should not be the one who constantly has to change my values or go against my values in order to accommodate other people, because somebody somewhere said, let's build this capitalist society where at this time of year, people can go broke and go into debt by buying gifts for each other. It's elitist. Yes. And it is definitely does not come from an intersectional space. Let's look at all of the people. Oh, Molly, you really got me going today. Let's look at the people who make promises, and Santa buys this kid over here an iPad and this kid over here a new set of pencils. Yes. This kid over here now thinks I'm not as good or as worthy as that kid over there, because at that age, they're not understanding that Santa spends some money, more money on this person and less money on this person based on their family's financial situation.
Yes. And this is actually a conversation I've had with several parents that I would say have had children in the last 8 years. So kind of newer, I would still say newer parents, like, is the concept of how do we actually broach this, because we don't want to lie to our kids. with the regards to Santa, and be able to have a conversation about, you know, Santa, just what you're saying, like how do we have conversations with kids, like Santa is really this, Santa is really that, and that's why this kid gets this and this kid that gets that. Because I grew up in a very pro Santa household.
Mm-hmm.
And like constant questioning of like the belief in Santa scenario. And I am sort of walking around this topic. But it did cause a lot of issues growing up with that as well, because I was like sneaking letters to my mini Christmas tree because my baby doll was asking for things for Santa, and Santa did not bring things for my baby doll.
Right.
You know, like those types of things. But it also is like the conversation now is like, we do Santa, but Santa brings like one thing. And then mom and dad give you the rest of the things, because we use it as an excuse to buy shit that we want for Blaine as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about gifts, right?
Right. But there are always things that Blaine has asked for, but we've put like no's on. Like this year, little human of mine is getting a Nintendo Switch. They have asked for this Nintendo Switch for like a good year, but we did not think that they were old enough or responsible enough to use it. I mean,
right.
They're only 5. But we decided that we got access to our first game. It was at 5 and 6. And so now it's time. Like that's tradition now. Like
for me, that was an Atari. I'm just saying.
I mean, it was a Super Nintendo, and it was not given to me. Steven got a Nintendo at that age. But yes, and so like we're doing that as a thing, but still, Blaine is asking anything. We have not bought any. We have not bought anything that they did not ask for. And
right,
so,
because what's the point?
What's the point? Yes. And I totally took us off topic because I had to go down the Santa rabbit hole, but
no, that's okay. That's okay. This is the thing. We could have an entire episode dedicated just to gift giving, and maybe at some point we will do that. But it is a stressor around the holidays for a lot of reasons. When we're talking holidays, for me, my issue is that social justice piece of it. Like, you know, let's be aware of that and think about that. And when you're with all of your family, and maybe you have somebody in your family who doesn't have the same kind of funds that you have, and everybody is expected to give gifts to everybody, like that just doesn't work, and it's not fair. And that expectation shouldn't be there. And also it shouldn't be like, well, you can come and participate with us. You don't have to do that. That's okay. Why humiliate somebody and put it out there and make it obvious that it's just unnecessary? Well, it's not what the holidays are supposed to be about.
Right. And some people put more effort into it because they enjoy gift giving than others. So in those obligatory family gift giving exchanges and stuff, there's the person that gets the gift card who may very well want the gift card. Do not get me wrong. I am a person who appreciates the gift card at any day.
Yeah.
But some people see other people getting like, oh, we saw these things and it made us think of you. And so they get like t-shirts or that are unique to their thoughts or whatever. And then somebody else gets a gift card. And if that person has RSD and they're like, they got that and I got the gift card, regardless of whether they will love the gift card or not, they feel less valued because of the amount of effort that got put into the gift. And that's not,
unless they have had the option to say, don't get me a gift, I want a gift card.
right. Yeah. But if they didn't say that, and it's like if they were like, oh, I know Molly loves Star Wars, we'll get her a gift card to Star Wars World, because I know that's not a real place, guys, just don't worry. Like, because she one time talked about Star Wars. Like,
Right.
those types of things are definitely not going to help. I'm trying to give an example that does not pinpoint a specific person. I had to make up Star Wars World to do that. Yes, I've been to Galaxy's Edge, and yes, it's marvelous, but that's beside the point.
Okay. Gift giving is
Yeah.
it's a thing. It's stressful, and it is okay for you to not engage in that stress. You do not have to follow this social narrative, and it is okay to speak your mind and have this conversation with people and help people see it from a different perspective. If giving and receiving gifts is something that makes you uncomfortable or that you don't want to do. So there's that. So let's move on. One of the issues that I have, I'm always going and I'm like, okay, where's the research? What are other people saying about this? What resources can we share to help people versus create? Because right now I don't have the time to just create this by myself. So I'm like, I'm sure there's somebody out there talking about this. You can find all kinds of shit on how to help kids around the holidays, on how to help autistic kids or neurodivergent kids or ADHD kids, whatever label we want to put on them around the holidays. You can find all kinds of stuff to help adults with dealing with stress, but none of that is within this intersection of neurodivergence and the holidays. That conversation hasn't really been a big conversation yet for adults. So it's very difficult to find resources. And I did find one from the Organization for Autism Research, but it still is autistic adults are telling you what worked and what didn't work for them as kids.
Right. They're not saying what works and what doesn't work for them right now.
And reading the article, there are obviously some things in there that do. Like, I keep a STEM bag and try to find a place away from everyone. I also keep music and headphones. Awesome. That is not targeted toward kids. It's just saying this is what helps me. So right. I am going to share that resource because it does have perspectives from people that can be looked at as adult perspectives, even though the narrative within that is still what helped you. I want everybody listening to understand that when you turn 18 or whatever you consider to be adult, your shit doesn't go away. We don't outgrow, and it doesn't just go away when we become adults. So it is okay. If it's okay for kids and it was okay for you when you were a kid, then it's okay for you now.
Yes.
And it is okay to be like, no, this is what I need so that I can participate and enjoy and find pleasure in this event with you. And I want to be here. I want to be present. I want to participate. Please make that possible for me. It might look a little different than what you do, but I'm here versus staying at home, or I've invited you to my home versus not, because I want to participate in this. So let's create an environment where all of us can.
Yes. Love it.
Yes. So speaking of that, let's talk food. This is a big deal to you.
It is. It is big food. Like food.
It's a big deal to me too.
But food, it has to be the right food, and it has to be the right version of the right food. So
did you say virgin?
Version. Yes, it needs to be the right virgin. No. Okay. There are no virgin margaritas in this party. Okay.
Oh, there will be if I'm there. I don't drink.
You don't?
Nope.
How did I not know that?
I don't know. I drink coffee. I'm not opposed to drinking alcohol. I have no problem with it, but it doesn't. Alcohol and I do not get along very well at all. I have rosacea, and it is not worth the sensory effects that are caused by taking a simple sip of vodka. My face looks like a tomato from one sticking my tongue in it. I'm allergic. It doesn't work. And that happened when I turned about 30. Suddenly, I could not drink any kind of alcohol whatsoever. So anyway, I'll take the virgin margarita, but yes.
I will provide virgin drinks as needed. Okay, I can't get over that now. Moving on. So
there has to be a specific version of the food for you to be able to enjoy it.
Yes.
Version.
And so one of the things, like, I love cooking. I don't mind cooking. I hate cleanup. So if somebody else is like, oh, I hate cooking, but I love cleanup, or like it doesn't bother me, I am always down to spearhead the cooking. And
let's be honest, you would rather be the one. And
I would so much rather. Yes.
Yeah. In your circumstance, you create the situation so that you are the one. It's happening at your home. It's within your.
Well, it doesn't have to be at my home. I will control the situation at somebody else's house. So as is the case this year. So like, a lot of times somebody will invite us for Thanksgiving, and like we talked about how I am the co-regulator in a couple episodes now. And I will notice that the person is getting dysregulated by all the chaos and all the things that have to get done, because this is not something people do on a normal basis. For me, somehow I acquired like the master skill of like assembling the schedule and understanding how everything goes together at big holidays. And so I just go, oh, okay, well, you're stressed. It's okay. You sit down. I'll take over and I'll do it. And this has happened several years. Like, it doesn't bother me. I make sure that the person is like, understands like, this is a zero judgments. I just see you're really stressed and this does not stress me out. Let me take this off of your plate and put it on my plate because this is fun.
Right. Not to mention, these are your own words. Your stress is stressing me the fuck out.
Yes, exactly.
So in order to deal with
me out.
Right. So in order for me to deal with my stress, please let me take this over. Yes. Please.
Yes. I will grab it. So like this year, for example, the concept of catering Thanksgiving came up, and I was like, nay. We are not doing that. So I said, look, I know this is stressful and it sounds like catering would be a great idea, but to me, it just wouldn't feel like the holidays, and I probably would just not enjoy myself. So how about I handle all the food and the cooking and the stress? Like, I'll tell you if I need something specific from you, but like, I'll handle all the things. And everybody was like, that sounds great. And so as of yesterday, there is a Google Calendar with detailed timeline and
as was Marco to me.
As was Marco.
Hey, Angela, look at all of this stuff I did this morning.
Yes, it is. And I mean, I feel like I should like probably do a short video on what I did, because I just literally broke down in 15-minute or 30-minute increments all the steps of cooking, so that specific step says, do this to the green beans, do this to the sweet potatoes, chop these vegetables, so that like it keeps it going. But it also makes it so I can assign somebody that task. Yeah. Because I can add them to that calendar invite, and then at this time, this needs to be done. But it also says, take this from this oven and put in this oven, preheat this oven, do that. It's amazing. It's beautiful, but that's beside the point. But one of the things I did this for is because of sensory issues and food. Right. So we were talking about green bean casserole, which is delectable and delicious until it is made with canned green beans, and it is gross and vomitous. And we are not touching that. We are not touching that. It needs to have
Right.
crisp.
Something that's been catered in, that has been sitting there in its own juices and getting soggy and mushy and slimy. No, thank you.
No. Sweet or mashed potatoes must be made with Yukon Golds, because russets are for French fries. They are not for sweet. You do not make mashed potatoes with a russet. That is disgusting. No, we have to. It can be slightly chunky. It can have skins on, but it has to be buttery goodness. It has to be Yukons. What was the other thing I was talking about?
Dressing.
Dressing. Oh, so I don't make stuffing. I make dressing, which you have to chop the celery and the onion just to the right size so that they're the perfect ratio. You have to translucify them. Yes, that's a word. I made it up. Just to the right consistency, so there's still a little crisp to them, but they're still like see-through. And then you have to get the square, not the crumble, the square stuffing cube. And then you have to just toss it perfectly so that they will have just the right amount of crunch on the top with the center gooey. But it can't be too gooey, because then
it's chewy, not gooey.
Yeah, chewy, not gooey. But it has to have crisp. And that's why you also put extra crispy onions on your green bean casserole, because you need just enough crisp. And if you don't put enough crisp, then it's just mush goo, and that's not good either.
Right.
And yeah, no, that's all the things. You can't have dry turkey, because dry turkey feels like you're trying to eat cloth, and that's just it doesn't go down. Yeah, so all
my person does not like turkey. Like, no. You can I love turkey. He's like, no, you can't. No. I need ham and all of the juices. And I'm like, but I need turkey, and I could eat turkey every day of the year. But I make good juicy turkey. But it doesn't matter how juicy it is. He still thinks it's dry. He does not like the texture of turkey. He's like, no, it's stringy, and no, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Okay. Now, my little eats none of the things that are on the Thanksgiving menu. So this year we're incorporating homemade mac and cheese, which again, mac and cheese can go right or wrong with the mush factor. And like it has to have a little bite to it. Like you have to have al dente pasta. You cannot have the mushy, gross pasta. Like, I'm sorry, Stouffer's is not allowed. Like I used to eat it as a kid, but like it's fluffy. And I don't know how, like,
it is fluffy, which is really, it's bizarre.
It's just weird mouthfeel, and I can't, like, as an adult now, like, I'll eat it, but inside I'm dying.
And let's be honest, there are people who are exactly the opposite of this.
Yeah.
Who, who may want to cater in their favorite restaurant.
Absolutely.
Which is food that they love, that they know, and they're comfortable with. It is their safe food. Cool, awesome, do that. We're not saying you have to have the same palate as we do as far as textures, because we're all different. The point here being, it is okay to acknowledge that there are foods that are safe and there are foods that don't feel safe to you, and that just because you're at somebody else's house, you have to eat these things that you are not interested in eating, which is, we've been told that. I used to get spanked, or, I have sat at the table from dinner time, 12 hours to the next morning, and I'm still sitting at the table because I refuse to eat that.
Oh, that is no.
Right? So let's get rid of that. That is not how we do things. That is not how you have to do things if it has been how you've done it in the past. It's food.
Yeah.
It's food, and it is not worth being punished for. So don't punish yourself. Don't punish your kids.
And I feel like it's important, having grown up being given things, like my parents were never like finish the plate people, but I had cousins that were. But like, if you're going to be not that I agree with finish the plate people by any means, but don't pile shit on if you're going to make them eat it all. Like,
right.
Like, taste it. I always make little person human of mine. Need new words. My my tiny human and I go through the line together, and Blaine's able to see and smell the food, and then we make a decision if we're going to taste it and try and see if we like something new, or skip it. And almost always it's, I'll have a roll.
Right.
So that's why I was like, mac and cheese this year. We're having mac and cheese. Because last year all Blaine ate was bananas.
Right. And then, okay. So it's becoming more acceptable to not force kids to eat, and you know, that has changed, but it hasn't necessarily changed as adults. It's like, you're an adult and you should be able to. But that's not true. Why? Food is hard for me. Being forced for most of my life to eat food. Now, we were very poor. So let's be fair. There were times when if we didn't catch a fish, you know, we were homeless at this point, living in a tent at the lake. So, I mean, we had a tent as a home. Living in a tent at the lake, you know, moving each week because you can only be there for like 5 days or whatever. If we didn't catch a fish, we didn't eat. That's a thing. And I get it. And I get this is the only food that is available, and it's better for you to eat than it is to not eat at all. I understand that. And that sucks and it's unfortunate, but let's see what we can do if we're not, especially if we're not in that situation, to not force somebody to have this immense stress response over food. It creates problems. It means that food is your enemy for the rest of your life, and that therapy is needed to get rid of that. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. So as adults, if we can start looking at food in a different way and say, I really want to participate in this with everybody. So here's how I am going to create the situation so I can. And I'm going to ask that people support me. It's no different than being on a diet.
No.
And when you're on a diet, people will be like, oh, come on, just this once, go ahead and eat the cake. And you're like, you know what? I'm choosing not to. People who support you and love you will not put shit in front of your face and shame you for not eating it.
Correct.
And the same should be true for neurodivergent folks who can't eat that for whatever reason. The same should be true for people who choose not to drink alcohol, whatever. We have to get rid of that. And unfortunately, the holidays is one of the hardest times of year for that scenario right there of shame. That's not what the holidays are about.
No.
I know I just got real heavy.
I'm trying to transition that lightly, and it's not well. So I want to continue kind of in that same realm, sweets in the holidays.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that try and limit or prohibit the kids from having sweets before certain times or whatever, which I get. If you haven't broken into the pies, you don't want the child going in and forking and nomming that shit. But like, that's different. That's not what I'm talking about.
Not to mention the resentment that you will have because they get to do it and you don't.
Right, yeah. But I mean, if you have a child that's not going to eat any of the savory items, or an adult that eats any of the savory items, a human not eating savory items, then they are allowed to still have dessert. They're still allowed to eat as much dessert as they want, because that is the one food that they have that is safe and it brings them comfort, and that's okay.
Right.
And like, when we take away foods that are enjoyable and we use them as like the punishment. We just end up making that thing more sought after or more intense of a craving. It's like telling your kid not to stim, or you telling yourself not to stim, and then you just need to stim more because then you're not stimming and then you need it more, kind of thing. It's that same thing. So in that same realm of don't make kids eat things that they don't want, don't take away kids, or don't take away human foods that they do want to eat because you have some arbitrary rule that prohibits you from letting them do that.
Right. If you have if you have a neurodivergent person and they come and they hang out and everything's good, and then they go in for dessert, and you notice that dessert is all they have eaten, they just kind of push their food around on their plate, and then but dessert comes and they're like happily eating dessert. So what? You don't need to make a big deal out of it. You don't need to say anything about it. Just leave it alone. They're there. They're enjoying the time. They're participating in the event. Why does it have to be drama? It doesn't.
Right.
Let that go.
Yes. Okay. Moving on from food, because we only have a couple minutes left. Moving on from food, one thing that I wanted to bring up is the kiddie table.
Correct.
I realize we talked about adult helping things, but this one's very important to me, because if you're a big family and you don't see your extended family very often, and you are bringing your neurodivergent family, however that neurodivergent queer family, whatever it is, to this event where people are not used to cousins, just because you're cousins doesn't mean you know each other. Together,
where people are not used to you or accepting of you or your family or the way that you do things.
You should not require, I'm not saying the kids can't sit together if they don't want to, but you should not require the kids to sit away from you when you are a safe human for them. They're going to need you, and that's okay. And that's how you support their emotional needs and their needs for co-regulation and all of those things. So I just want to encourage people, do not force the kiddie table. If other parents are participating in kiddie table adventures, that doesn't mean your child has to. If your child wants to sit with other cousins and that's important to them, then by all means, you can let them do that. But that's a choice that they're making.
Right. And
then one of the things that's going to be new for us navigating this year is, it's new in the extent this year. So I don't have any reports on this currently. It's just a thing that I will report after the holidays.
We will revisit this after the holidays. Yes.
After the holidays. Is taking your gender fluid or gender non-conforming kiddo to a extremely
or queer in any way,
or queer in any way,
queer in any way.
Yes, in my case, that was the specific instance. To an extremely conservative traditional family gathering, where I'm pretty sure my tiny human will want to wear all the floofs and sparkles.
Yes. I can give an exact example of this.
Oh.
Yes, I can. So, my son, we were at a big family gathering, and my family is pretty traditional. We're just going to leave it at that. Heteronormative, painful stuff. And my son was 12. And I was sitting here, he was sitting next to me. My dad was on this side of me, my older brother on the other side of me. And my son said something, blah, 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 trigger warning. I'm going to use terms that are painful to queer folks. He said something. My dad responded with, "What are you, a little fag?" And then my brother chimed in. And my son stood up and he put his hands on his hips and he looked at them and said, I haven't decided yet. And he sat back down. But that is something to this day. I know your face is so proud right now.
Yes.
That is something to this day that is still very painful to me. That was something that happened, another time he was 3 years old and he came out walking out with my sister's like the little plastic jewelry, and he had a little purse and a hat on and the little plastic high-heeled shoes. And he came out and it was the same question, and being called a fag. And that happens in these family events, and it affects adults and it affects the kids, and it's painful and it's harmful, and it's something that we have to think about before we go in. The stress of it starts months in advance.
Yeah.
If we are even participating in those events, because sometimes the stress happens because we don't participate, because it's too painful to do that.
Right.
And again, queer and neurodivergent, these things they're intertwined often for many of us. And even if they're not, some of the experiences are very similar. And being an outcast and not being accepted and loved at this time of year that says love, acceptance, charity, caring for one another, and that's all of the stuff that is said and how it's supposed to be, to not be included in that, or to have to exclude yourself because it's so painful, causes so much stress, causes so many mental health concerns. And speaking of that, Molly, I would like to really put some links in for people who need some support at this time of year, because it happens. And that is our reality about the holidays.
Yes. That is true.
Right?
I mean, I'm sure people out there are doing the same thing that I'm doing in my head, which is, how could these conversations go? What is my response going to be? How am I going to handle if this happens? What if this scenario pops up? How am I going to tackle that? And I feel like sometimes we navigate these conversations in a non-stress state, because that's just how we are, where we're like, today I'm going to go to the doctor and I'm going to have this conversation. But in this instance, I feel like pre-navigating those conversations and trying to think through how they could go, scripting that response will help you respond in a way that is more impactful to the scenario, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You'll be able to think through, how could I best script this and have the most impact and shut things down if I need to shut things down, or help educate if they seem open to education at this point in time, or being able to say, I am not responsible for educating you, please go Google this, or whatever. Right.
And what kind of support do I need to have this conversation? Do I need to ask somebody to be with me? Is it okay for me to have this conversation in their space? Yeah. In my space? Face to face.
Right. And I think it's also important to be to set some parameters for yourself as well, like a protection parameter, to be like, if I start feeling this, then I need to do the step A. If I start feeling step, level 2, then I need to do step 3, but I'm not going to let myself get to level 3. And if I feel like I'm approaching that, then I'm going to institute escape measure, whatever. Right. And I feel like having these plans for yourself, for your family, will allow you to more enjoy this events if you're choosing to participate in them, because then it's on your terms and using your consent wheel a little bit more, because you're like,
Right.
these are my places where it's like a no-go, and this is where it's not.
Yeah.
So,
and is it okay for you to choose acceptance over authenticity? It is, if it's a consensual choice that you're making. Obviously, we want both. We need both. But we can look at a situation and we can ask ourselves, I know walking into the situation that I am not accepted for my authentic self. Therefore, I am going to list all of the things that you're going to do in order to make it a situation that you are willing to participate in the way that you have chosen. Because if you are choosing it and you are doing it consensually, and you are saying, I am going to give this to that person because I want to, within these parameters and these boundaries, that's okay. Just because other people don't do that, or other people say, no, I'm not going there, I'm not doing that at all, they either accept me for 100% this and that, that's their choice. That's how they want to handle it. It is okay for you to choose to mask. It is okay for you to choose to do whatever you want to do or need to do in that situation, as long as you are doing it by your own choice and not because it's a should. You have agency in this. I think that gets taken away with the conversations that happen of they don't care about you. Why are you putting time, effort, and energy into that? That's not always the case, right? There are a lot of reasons why dynamics like I was talking about happen. And we each have agency in that. And we each have capacity. And I'm not talking about spoons here, but I'm talking about emotional, mental. We have a capacity in which we can participate or not participate in these events. And sometimes the choice of not participating is too painful and we're not ready for it yet. So we go ahead and make the choice to participate. And that's not a shameful thing either. I know it's heavy stuff, but the holidays are heavy.
Yeah. I think that perfectly ends like what we're trying to drive home, is that you have the choice here. Like, you get to decide. And we just really didn't want folks heading into the holidays thinking that they didn't have a choice, or that there weren't ways to make this what you want, as much as you can in your given situation. And so I think that's all we have today.
It is. And I would invite people to look at the resources that we are going to put in the show notes, as well as use the Ask Us Anything to put questions in there if you want us to continue this conversation, whether it's for the holidays or for any other time of life, to, be consensual in the interactions that you have. Yes, please use that form. That's what it's there for. With that, thank you for listening to Drudgery, Dreams, and In Between, a weekly live podcast coming to you every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. Subscribe now wherever podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the podcast, be sure to leave a rating and review and share with your friends. To catch all the latest from us, visit us at drudgeryanddreams.com. and follow on your favorite social media platforms at Drudgery and Dreams. Thanks again. See you next time.